fraction. So, if you look at those, -1 and 8 will not make -2. -2 and 4 will not make -2 when you add them. So those can't be my negatives. So I'm going to try and make -8 and -4. So 1 and -8 added together would be -7. So it's not that one. 2 plus -4 is a -2x. So it's that one. So you have 2x and -4x. So again, what does this row have in common? A 2. What does this row have in common? An x. What does this row have in common? An x. What does this row have in common? -4. So you end up with 4, because that came out before, and then we have x minus 4 and x plus 2. Alright, try and do one for this one. I'm going to help you though, because it's different. It has 4x squared. That changes things. So, we still do our normal area model. 4x squared. We got -1. But this time, since you have a coefficient in front of x squared, you have to multiply these two numbers together and get -4. And those are the factors that you're going to look for now. It's not just the factors of this last box, it's the factors of those two numbers multiplied together. So there's 2 and 2 and 1 and 4. And again on this, it's -4, so you have to decide which one's going to be negative. If you make a -2 and a +2, added together that would be 0x, and we want 3x, so that one's not going to work. Here, if you make it -1 and +4, that would make a +3x. So we got -1x and +4x. So here, what do those two have in common? -1. Those two, 4x. Those two, x. Those two, 1. So you end up getting 2x squared and 4x minus 1 and x plus 1. Yay, go you. Alright, this one is not in descending order, so that is bad. We need to put it in descending order. So I'm going to write it as -9x to the 4th minus 8x squared plus 1. I don't like that being negative. You can keep it negative, but I don't like it being negative. So I'm going to pull out a -1 first. So I'm going to say my greatest common factor is -1. That gets me 9x to the 4th positive 8x squared minus 1. Now you do your area model just like you did before. I'm going to come over here and try and do an area model that you can actually see on your phone. I don't know. Okay. Alright, so we got 9x to the 4th in the first box and -1 in the last box. Again, you have to multiply the two because that's not just x squared. So if I multiply the two, I get -9x to the 4th. Factors of that are 9 and 1 and 3 and 3. 3 and 3 will not make 8, so I'm going to pick 9x and a -1x. So what are those? And squared, because it's half of that exponent. And you want 8x squared. That tells you what those should be. So what do those two have in common? 9x squared. What do those two have in common? -1. Those two have x squared in common. And those two have 1 in common. So you end up getting -1 times the quantity 9x squared minus 1 times x squared plus 1. Well, you have squares. On all the other ones, it was just plain old x's, so we were done. On here, you have to look at the two terms and see if it can fall under our sum of cubes or difference of cubes. That one right there is a difference of cubes, or difference of squares, excuse me, that's squared, not a cube. So, square root each, 3x minus 1 and 3x plus 1. And then you also get x squared plus 1 and the negative 1 from before. All right. From there, the last thing that we're going to talk about today is synthetic division. It's another way to do long division. Excuse me. But it's a little easier. However, synthetic only works if what you're dividing by is a linear term. That means that this, your x exponent, is only a 1. So I don't like synthetic division. I would always use long division. So if you want to turn the video off now, go for it. If you want to learn synthetic division that you can only use when you divide by a linear term, keep the video on. Otherwise, you're done for the day. All right, so with synthetic division, you look at this. You do the opposite of this value here. So the opposite of a negative 2 is a positive 2. What you do with these, this is kind of screwy, just go with me. You do, make sure your exponents are in descending order. You put your coefficients. So here our coefficient is 1. Here our coefficient is negative 1. Here our coefficient is 2. And there our coefficient is 4. From there, so we did the opposite, put it in the backwards L. Wrote down our coefficients of what we wanted to divide. Here, you always drop down your first coefficient. Then, you multiply those two numbers. Whatever is in your backwards L and whatever number you drop down. You multiply those. And you put that there. From there, you are going to add these values. So negative 1 plus 2 is 1. Start over. Multiply. You get 2. Add. You get 4. Start over. You get 8. Add. You get 12. That's your answer that you're going to add in variables. This one is your leading coefficient, and you go to x squared. Instead of being x cubed, because you divided by x, it becomes x squared. Plus 1, go down to power x, plus 4, with the remainder of 12. If that was 0, it would mean it divided evenly. And there is your answer. Yes, it's faster, but it's another thing that you have to memorize, and it only works with linear. So I personally wouldn't do it. All right, here, let's try this one. See if you can do it on your own. We got x plus 3, so backwards L, negative 3. List your coefficients. We have x to the 5th is 1, but then it skips to x to the 3rd. I got to have a coefficient for x to the 4th, so I'm going to put 0. For x to the 3rd, you get negative 4. For x squared, you get 0. For x, you have 1. For your constant, you have 0. From there, do your okay, drop down. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. Multiply. I believe it's negative 138. 3. Okay. So add, and there's your remainder. So what we're going to do, it's not x to the 5th anymore, it's x to the 4th. X cubed, x squared, x, and a constant. We have a remainder. So let's try one more. We got a backwards L of 1. We got 4, 0, negative 3, 0, 1, 0, 5. Drop down. 4. Multiply. 1. Add. 1. Multiply. 1. Add. Negative 2. Multiply. Negative 2. Add. Negative 2. Multiply. Negative 2. add, negative 1, multiply, negative 1, add, negative 1, multiply, negative 1, add 4. So we got 4x to the 5th plus 1x to the 4th minus 2x cubed minus 2x squared minus 1x minus 1 of the remainder of 4. Great job today, and come with questions for next time.